Thursday. I can't believe we're making it through another week. It's been a really busy week at the collaborative, on our in our home offices. I hope it's been a good week for you all. I know it's another strange week, but we're really excited about what's been going on with our distance learning, online, and downloadable resource guide. We have about 80 different programs from organizations, DC orgs, already uploaded, and more coming each day. Plus, we're continuing to add national resources when we see them. We're just starting to populate our community calendar, which Tracy can show you all again if you want to see how to do that today. And we're getting at least 400 plus individual visits already to the site. And we're trying to hone in on our Google Analytics a little better so that we can see, that's per day, that's right. So that we can see where folks are coming from, what they're most interested in looking at. So far, the majority of the users are coming from DC, which makes total sense because it is a resource for our DC population, our families and teachers and caregivers and students. But we're also just starting to see national and international activity. A big group in Canada. So Canadians are checking in on us. We were kind of half joking about there was one visitor from Russia. We were like, uh-oh. That's coming from my husband too. He's like, uh-oh, you're being hacked. Be careful. Sorry, bad joke, but he's Russian, so you know he can say that. I guess I probably shouldn't, but you never know. We're not, of course, but it's really wonderful to see the resources being utilized, and also that it's being utilized outside of our community, which just shows how important our cultural resources are nationally. So we're pretty excited about that resource. We'll continue to market that out. We're going to take a good look at parent-based communities in the DMV that we can socialize this resource to. Tracy, if you could put the link up once again in the chat. I would ask for each of us on the chat today to once again continue to push out the link to your networks and channels so that people are taking full advantage of the resource. And also as you continue to think about how you may help to populate it, some of the key things that we're thinking about at the collaborative office include, as always with all of the work we do, equity. And having downloadable materials is so important. We're going to check in with our colleagues at DCPS and charter schools tomorrow and find out more about where they are with getting physical material to students. The first wave was obviously getting this distance learning even for DCPS up and running, of course our very own too, but we're very concerned about access to resources for students that may not have online access or access to their instruments for music students. So we're going to check in with our friends at DCPS and charters tomorrow, and that'll be one of the questions we'll ask. Also in terms of equity, some concerns we have are around making sure that as many programs and offerings that we're able to provide as a community are dual language. We have a couple of members that have already posted some materials in Spanish. That's really important. While we can't find a way to get all of the materials available in Spanish, we'll do our best. Maybe we'll ask for assistance from members in our community that are bilingual and able to translate some things for us, at least for our cover page, so that those families and caregivers know that there are some materials available and that we're doing our best to find more resources online for them. Also looking at students with different learning needs is also something that's very important for us in equity. So we're continuing to identify who can help us with that. We're thinking we may want to reach out to very special arts through Kennedy Center, ask them for some recommendations, as well as some of our organizations and teaching artists that have already been doing that, incorporating that into their practices, just so that we're really offering something for all of our students in our community. Equity is always so important to our work, and as we continue to build this platform, we realize that now more than ever. So know that the collaborative is working on that. We need your help with that. So if you have ideas, please send them our way, make introductions. If you can volunteer some time to that, we'd appreciate it, because it is just so important. Oh, thanks, Sylvia. Portuguese too. Why not? Yes, bravo. How do you say thank you in Portuguese? I don't know. But yeah, chime in.
Obrigado is very similar to Spanish.
Obrigado.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, obrigado. Thank you. So yes, please, thanks. We'll have to talk offline. Thank you so much. We want to at least get our landing page having some bilingual material information on it, that is honest and transparent in saying we don't have a lot of resources yet, but we're working on it. And then here are the ones that we have already. For those of you that may know about DC Scores, one of our members, they put out a wonderful message last night to their list that was bilingual, and it looks like they may even have 2 different sites running. Not quite sure, but it's clearly something that's very important for us in the DC community to be thinking about. So thanks, Sylvia. We'll circle back with you on that. Something I wanted to share with you today in the news, for those of you that may be interested, we're going to be pushing this out through social media as well. The DC Commission on Arts and Humanities, the commissioners are having a meeting today. It's a special meeting of the commissioners. All of their meetings are open to the public, with the exception of when they have executive session. But right now, they really want full transparency for the community, so they're opening up their commissioner meetings. These are those volunteer leaders that are appointed by ward and by the mayor. So they're sort of like the governing board, like if the commission was a nonprofit, right? So they're the governing board of the commission. The commissioners are having a meeting today. It'll be at 3:30, and we'll send that information. It's a telephone line with a call-in. If you're interested in listening, they're going to have someone from the mayor's office of finance to address whether or not the commission is able to provide emergency funding. This is very important. David Markey, as you know, was on our call on Monday, our Zoom chat. David and Markey, as well as Mary Lambert, will once again return this Monday. Tracy will talk more about the Zoom chat schedule in a minute. But David was sharing with us, there was a misinterpretation of the commissioners meeting from last week, where some members of the community grantees got panicked because they thought their grants were cut, but they're not. If the commission put out a FY20 grant, it was awarded to you or your organization, that grant has already been invoiced, meaning the funds are there for you. So if you still have funds on a current fiscal year grant, they are there for you. What was halted as per mayor's order were any new supports. And that's because the commission, now that its funding comes directly from dedicated funding pipeline, that means directly from the tax dollars, and interestingly from the tax dollars of the current fiscal year, which is really a shame because this is where it's really slamming us. This is like the worst case scenario of, okay, dedicated funding is an awesome thing, but what happens if no money comes into the city? Well, guess what? The first year of dedicated funding, we're already seeing that. So it's a challenge time for our friends at the commission, and they're trying to see if they can get emergency dollars out, but because their money is coming straight from tax dollars of this fiscal year, it's hard for them. So today's conversation with this staff member from the chief finance office will be very illuminating, because the commissioners will be asking that office to explain if there are any resources available for them, funding that is, and how, if there is, how they could distribute them. I'm predicting that the answer will be no, and that's a shame, but it's better for us to know that now. But we'll see. But I know that this is something that is very important to our community, The commission is our largest funder, and is the agency we would go to in emergencies. But they are struggling themselves trying to figure this out. And I think it's really important that the commission keeps their lines of communication open, and they really are trying to do that because I don't want any more misinformation getting out there. They're thinking about us as a community. So just keep that in mind. If you start to see any rumors or things flying around, just check your resources because they really are trying their best over there. I know some folks, today's call information will be sent. Yes, Mary, sorry. I know some of our internet, I'm having that at home too, where it's breaking up a bit. I think it's because so many of us, that's all we're doing right now is living online. We will get the telephone information up on DC Collaborative social media portals. And again, I'm going to share this every day with folks, and I'm sorry if I keep repeating it, but it's going to be very important. Please, if you're on social media, make sure to like and follow the DC Collaborative, both on Facebook and Twitter, because we will be doing our best to push out messages in real time as we get them there. It's at DC Collaborative for both Facebook and for Twitter. And oh, there's the links, Tracy, you're awesome. And actually, Tracy, if you want to share an update on some of the planning for Zoom chats, I'll go into my notes and I'll post in the chat the phone number information for today's commission call.
Sure. So the Zoom chats, I'm setting, I'm working on the newsletter that's going out today with Kelsey. We're breaking now for this call, of course. But we have a pretty great schedule set up. We're trying to segment our lists a little bit better and to still drive attention to what would be most relevant for you. So this Friday, 2 people from the DCPS Arts team will go over the learning platform, the DCPS campus site, which has the DC Collaborative Distance Learning Resource Database on it that many of you have contributed to. And thank you so much for responding so quickly to help DC teachers and students and families. So that is great. So they'll go over the Canvas site on Friday. And then on every Monday, David Markey from the DC Commission and Mary Lambert from DC Public Schools Arts will give an update on their respective organizations. On Tuesdays, it'll be more of an open forum that we can schedule and let you guys know about ahead of time. This Tuesday, Jeff Poulin from Creative Generation will be presenting his hashtag Keep Making Art campaign to everybody. Wednesdays, eventually, we would like to focus on teaching artists to give them a space to come and speak together. We had a preliminary conversation yesterday at 1 about a project that teaching artists can do with us, and we'll be hopefully sharing more as it develops a little bit more. But we do want to offer that space for any teaching artists who wants to come and then share their experiences or share the interesting things that they're doing on our platform. On Thursdays, the topics will focus on developing distance learning materials. And then again, on Fridays, it'll be like another open forum day, which we'll try to program ahead of time. But I also kind of like meetings that are left open because it can make us really responsive to those who join. But we'll try to plan these a little bit more. The schedule will be in the newsletter. And we'll be using email. I know you've gotten a lot of emails from us. If we're announcing topics or who's there, it will be brief. We just are still trying to find the best ways to communicate with all of you without overloading you with information. But we find that you're most responsive to email. But Kelsey has been doing a great job with getting our social media pages more active. So please follow us on there for reminders. We also have listservs. There's going to be a form for you guys to sign up for different listservs. You can sign, one listserv will be like, if you will want a daily reminder for these Zoom chat sessions and to be reminded of the topic. So we were talking with one of our members from Sitar Arts Center, and she said, my inbox is crazy. You know, like it's almost like we want you to still open your emails, but we also know that you maybe won't get the one email with the huge schedule in it. So if you guys have any ideas like about communications, Lissa and I and the team have been talking about it a lot. So we think driving people to our social media will be really effective. You guys are most used to hearing from us on email. And then we'll also have a listserv for the for community partnerships. There's one member on one of the calls was talking about what they needed and what they had to offer, and we liked that, so we thought we can create a listserv for that topic. Developing distance learning materials, and another listserv for teaching artists and practitioners, just to stay in contact with each other. So that's how we're trying to change up our communications and focus the conversation topics while we all have to meet virtually.
Yeah. Thanks, Tracy, for sharing. Yeah, we want to make our information as accessible as possible to everyone, and everyone has different ways that they like to receive information too. So, that's an interesting idea, Sylvia. Yeah. That if folks if they want to pay attention, yeah, maybe set up a separate Gmail account or whatever it is, where you want to get pertinent news, like news, park it somewhere else. We'd be happy to have that added to the list. That's a great idea. I know it is so hard for us. I try to put sometimes filters on things that come in because we get so much stuff, but it is really hard, and especially right now, because you can miss something that's really good, especially from some stakeholders that you actually haven't heard from in a while. Like we just got a bunch of messages. The foundations are just starting to bubble up with some of their resources, or other organizations with some great community resources. And we don't want those, I wouldn't want those messages to get bogged down in my inbox. So it's been really hard to keep following everything. So I do like that idea. That's a great idea.
Thanks, Lissa, for sharing the commissioner meeting.
Yeah, I've got, and I just, sorry about that. It came from my calendar. So it's the same phone number. It just repeated twice. That's all. So it's just a conference number and an access code. The description is the same info. It just repeated twice. I think that it is important, as we hear about community convenings that are relevant to our work, we'll continue to share them with everyone the best we can. And right now, the best we can is with you all that are on today, the Zoom chat this way, but also through social media. And that's what Kelsey will be taking care of. So that's that information will be posted on our Facebook, which is at DC Collaborative, as well as our Twitter, which is the same handle. DC Collaborative, yes. Okay, and it's there. Tracy put that in there too. And so, yeah, Sylvia, thank you again for offering to help us with some translation. We'll just have to figure out who on the collaborative team would be best to talk to about that. I'm thinking it's just some basic information on our landing page for that resource. And then identifying the orgs that have already given us some materials to start. But we can follow up with that. But did you want to share something with the group? Yeah.
Yes. Going back to the equity piece.
Yeah.
This morning I was part of a group, so much of my work is in the early childhood world. Mm-hmm. And it is really such a different world and such an important world because it's so defining of what is to come in the future of the children and the family. So this morning I was invited to participate in a play date group. These were parents that were very engaged one of my teaching artists was invited to sing a song and participate. So she asked if I could participate as well. And I was just amazed by the beauty of these families who are highly educated. I can't necessarily say that they are, wealthy families, because you don't want to measure that way. However, they were very engaged parents, and they were very knowledgeable parents. And these children had such language, vocabulary, explanation, entertaining themselves, and being so creative and free. And the parents not only giving that space, but giving that feedback. And that conversation was such an ideal, beautiful world. And all I could think of, how this distance is even growing deeper, because these children are actually spending an incredible time being homeschooled by their parents, and their parents, rising up to the challenge of doing things. So that's something that I think about. So many of our families that would need such engagement and such support don't have the tech. And even if we give them a hard copy, like you were saying, maybe we can get them a hard copy.
Yeah.
Hard copies everywhere. What do you do with that? Even we trying to put material on the web or just to interact with other people is just so difficult. And I see that in so many of the classes I teach. So I'm just putting it out there, because that is something that I would say, once this is over, it is an area that I would say will need to play a lot of catch up, a lot of inviting that community to really assure that equity is not lost. Obviously, they cannot catch up because it's on every day. But the very first meeting that I participated, you mentioned, Lissa, in response to one of the participants, parent PD. So I would say that we should think a lot about that, especially in DC, when we were already making some headway to close, I wouldn't say close that gap, but to lift everybody.
Right.
Now we are taking several steps back.
Yeah, indeed. Narrowing that gap is a challenge in best of times. But, I'm thinking just one thing that we could do, Tracey is working on, as we said, these different themes for our daily Zoom chats moving forward, for as long as we need to do these. But another thing that we could do could be, we could set it up for a different time of day. Maybe it's 2:00 in the afternoon, but having what would be like a panel conversation, a Zoom chat with you all leading on some of these topics. And I think, Sylvia, this would be a great one for you to think about. I don't know, Tracey, we could make that happen. It's literally just turning on the Zoom chat, right? But also coming up with the content, just like we would set up any panel conversation, but maybe starting to talk about this now, where we bring in 3 or 4 folks, you can lead a conversation about this, and then we can invite folks from your community and our broader arts and humanities ed community to tune in. We'd be happy to host these. We just need your help in coordinating them, right, Tracey? I think that would be what's needed. Yeah.
We were working on, we call our networking events speed dating workshops, because that's the format that we use. And Sylvia, I don't know why you go to like all of them. You're really interested in a date.
She likes to date.
Yeah. So we were planning on one with each of the sessions, for those who don't know and don't come to everyone, we have a 30-minute kind of like mini panel discussion at the beginning around a topic, and then if everyone does the speed dating rotations. Sylvia participated in a panel last time that was teaching artists best practices and around partnering with cultural organizations. And we were planning another one in the beginning of May with David from the DC Commission about equity and students with special needs, our special needs programming, and that was identified as a need in our distance learning educator needs assessment.
Yeah.
So I think we can have equity conversations. Our equity committee was also supposed to have a panel before our members meeting on April 13th. So we can definitely move some of these over to the online forum, even if you're not involved in any given child in the committees currently. You know, I think we should find a way to meet virtually, though we can't speed date. But
right, for sure. And we can get those populated and up very quickly. I mean, Tracy's working. We're working on schedules. We're rolling out things incrementally. With ZoomChats first and other things. But if we feel that there is a topic in real time that we want to make happen sooner, I think we can. We would just need more support from the community. Like, Sylvia, you're our curator on this. Let's curate a session. Let's do it. And we will market it. We will set it up. We'll run it through all of the structure that we would normally do just virtually. And then we would rely upon you to also help market it too.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to say, Zoom has a wonderful feature that maybe we could try, Tracy, for speed dating, which is the room chats.
Oh, right. We haven't done that.
Yeah.
I don't know where does that exist though? I heard about
I don't know exactly how to use that. I would have to go to a tutorial, but you can basically do that speed dating, and you could either leave it free for people, I think, to choose who they want to be with, or you can predetermine of who it would be, and then you click on the Zoom, and then those people are just talking to those who you determine with, and then you can bring them together. So it's your speed dating.
Mind blown. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe as the administrator, you see that function. I'm not sure where that comes in.
Anybody can see that.
Anyone can see it.
Yeah, we would have to look it up because I haven't used it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll have to log in to our account and check.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea.
I love it.
So the virtual speed dating.
Virtual speed dating can happen. Of course it can.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, because
they're called ZoomChats, you said?
I think it is chat rooms.
Chat rooms. Okay.
I don't see anything. We'll definitely dig deeper into that. But Sylvia, if you want to have an offline convo with us about architecting that conversation, we can start to make that one happen very quickly.
Just tell me a time that it's good for you to talk, and I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So Tracy, if you don't mind, send me an invite.
Yeah. How about you all on the Zoom chat today? Since we're talking about this, we're kind of popcorning ideas. Since we want to start thinking about other community conversations. Terry, what do you think we might be missing? Like, what are you hearing from some of your friends, some of your teachers?
Well, one thing I heard yesterday, Amelia Draper from Channel 4 shared a compilation of community database learning resources. And I thought
we should have been there.
Definitely, we should be on that list. And I was wondering about the possibility of sending a press release to all of the community stations, announcing the launching of the database, first of all. But I think that this is something that she'll probably be doing, at least Amelia will be doing on a regular basis. And but if we get it out to all of the stations, we might get some traction.
That's a great point. I'll look and see. I don't think Amelia is on my email list, because yesterday I did send out to our media list is not the best, I have to tell you, just because we don't we don't send out that many press releases as an organization. But starting 2 years ago, I rebuilt our press list around the time that we did our Whole Foods shopping day. And I'll take a look and see. I had sent things out to like news assignment desks, to some of the lead anchors, like I'm thinking for TV media, I'm using as an example, like Aaron Gilbert and An Yang on News 4 and others. But I'll look and see if Amelia's on that list, because those are the types of folks we want to make sure know about our work, because a news assignment desk may not even get that to them if we don't have them on our list. But if you have any other ideas because I may not be paying enough attention to who, on using TV as the first example, who is pushing out and generating stories like Amelia is, I'll make sure to create a separate list for them and we can reach out to them directly. Or if you know them, you can also forward something, and I can take our announcement that I was sending to everyone and turn it into a press release very quickly. So I'll work on that today, actually. In fact, I'll share it. Terry's on our board. So Terry, I'll share that with the whole board and ask them to push it out. Okay, cool, thanks.
So the rooms, it's not called chat rooms, going back to that, it's called breakout room, and I just sent you a link.
Okay, super, thanks. Thanks, Sylvia. So we will figure that out. That's super exciting. I love when thanks to you, we discover new things. Always finding more ways for us to be able to do our work is so important.
Still make the second half of it a happy hour. Just
yeah, we totally have a happy hour. Yes. In fact, I was thinking about that. I've been starting to get invitations to a lot of happy hours. I've been running most weekday nights a happy hour called Bubbles. It's a personal kind of friend thing, but everyone's invited to it. And I'm running it through Facebook. I've been posting, announcing it. I think I shared the link with the board too. But it's my personal ZoomChat account. So, but now I'm starting to get, oh my gosh, I'm getting happy hour invites everywhere. In fact, I even got a happy hour Avon party invite for today at 5. So it's like, wow, everyone's doing it, right? This is it. I think we're all going to end up being more social than we ever were, right? Even before this, which is not a bad thing. So let's have a happy hour. Indeed, we need a DC Collaborative happy hour for sure. So we can, I like the idea of us being able to have that open time after these conversations for that. And break out all that yummy wine I see behind you, Sylvia. Yeah, Sylvia's ready.
I'm ready. I have to say something quickly about this wine. My children gave my husband and me some years ago, maybe when we turned 50 or something like that, maybe 55, I don't remember. But they gave us, we could go and do our very own wine, and you could print your own labels.
Oh, so those are yours? Show us one.
These are my son, who is a visual artist also. So this is one of his labels.
Closer. Show a little more up close.
Can you see it?
Oh yeah.
Well, this is a glimpse of one of his paintings. Then he took a picture of my other daughters, and this is an oboist. So he gave a title to each one of them. So one of them is Constellation. The other one is Bamboo Grove, because you have bamboo reeds.
Yeah.
And then
I'm an oboe player, for those of you.
Here's my daughter, who is very fluid and watery and lives in Australia. That's the one that just left. So this is called Oceania. So we can do that.
Oh my God, that's gorgeous. I love those. Okay, those are bottles. You don't drink them. You just have to
That's right. I have to keep them, but I'll get somewhere. But the one thing I was going to share or to mention, it's very hard. I find self-discipline is hard. And I see you have lipstick on. I put lipstick on. I
Yes.
wake up every day, and I
Yes.
just, routines are healthy for me
Very.
in any case.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about moving, exercising, if people are doing those kinds of things together, meditating, even if it's a
Yes.
short time. Sometimes the meetings are so long that they become, more draining than helpful.
I
And
agree. I agree.
and that's the one piece that I find sort of is somewhat missing in most conversations I see. People are not getting together in a, I don't know if it's an exercise room or a breathing room together, just to make that part of a
Yeah.
routine. Because
I
this
agree.
prolongs, the world around starts getting messy, and it's hard to be motivated. And
Indeed.
it is so much more work, this type of work. There's so much reading and so many more meetings. And as you said, yes, we are much more social, but also much more consumed by all this.
Yeah, we
And
need
I
more.
feel the strike of balance there is not being
Yeah.
met.
Well, we should find, I reached out to, for those of you that may remember, how could you not forget, if you know her, Jennifer Cover-Payne, who used to run Culture Capital. I haven't heard back from her, but Jennifer, who the DC Collaborative adopted her space when Culture Capital closed. So our current office it was her space. And Jennifer is amazing. She retired, but she never retires. She's a busy lady. She's a yoga instructor, and she does mindfulness too. And in fact, when we first kicked off our collective impact work a few years ago, she led a group in some mindfulness activity. So if I am able to get Jennifer back, it would be great to ask her to come online and help us and lead something, or any of us could lead that. If we have the knowledge, we should share it. And we could do some mindfulness exercises, maybe some kinetic, I'm thinking of Ingrid. From Inner City, Inner Child, right? I see Ingrid doing something with us. Yes, Tracy stretching. I'm seeing Ingrid kind of getting us to move our bodies. But yeah, I think that's a great idea, because it's true. I'm sitting on my tush all day, and I'm reclined too, because I don't have a office at home. So my office is my couch or my bed, or, I'm not sitting at a chair, so I'm definitely needing to move my body for sure. I always tell people to go out for a walk, but we should do it while we should make that part of the agenda of these meetings for sure.
And I would say, not putting the men out, the gentlemen out, please join us. But as women, we do must to take care of our bodies much, much more. We are much more prone just for the body just to age much faster. And just breathing will keep us in better shape and better mind shape too.
Yeah, that's for sure. We could even take lessons from what we do at school with the kiddos. I know when they do spirit weeks, right? They do wear your pajamas day or crazy hair day, or, let's take a lesson from what we teach our kids. We should do the same thing. That's part of why I have the lipstick on today, actually, because we did a staff photo. So we were all like, okay, let's wear lipstick tomorrow morning. And actually, it was pretty fun. Clarissa, she rocks some blue lipstick, so you'll see the picture, which is very cool. Yeah, we should totally do it. We should take lesson from all the things we teach our kids.
I'm not wearing real pants until after this is over.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
Sorry.
I do have my work jammies, that's for sure. I have my office wardrobe now is very different. Not that, but that was another thing I've actually heard. And again, sorry to the fellas, unless you like to wear heels, that's a good thing too. But, if we're just sitting on the couch anyway, let's have a cocktail party and dress up for the cocktail party. Even if you're wearing your jammies, put on a pair of heels. In fact, it'll be the most comfortable time you'll wear a pair of heels, because you don't have to walk around and stand in them, but you're wearing your heels. Do something that's a little out of the norm to switch it up in your house. I think that's really important to do. I haven't done that yet. I haven't pulled out the heels, but maybe I think I'm going to. Just find ways to not get yourself in a rut with this. And it's so hard. I mean, we have good days and bad days already, and we're only 10 or so days plus into this. You know, yesterday for me personally was hard because I learned of 2 people I know. So kind of hit home, not personal, super close to me, but people that have been part of my past life that died from Corona. So it's already crazy. Like you suddenly realize how real and very real it is. So, you know, we're going to have a lot of that. And sadly, we're going to see more of that. And that's why we have to take care of ourselves and find ways to break us out of what this new norm is for us in our, you know, in our rectangle box here. Right. So, yeah.
And here's the last thing I'm going to say, then I'm going to shut up. I think the positive thing about this, that you can be in your pajamas or even half dressed. You don't even need to wear pants, Tracy. I can only see the top of you.
That's true.
I'm wearing the yoga pants.
No, it's really that we are paying much attention to the people, to their mind, to their contribution, to their thinking, right? And you are not, after the few times that you've done Zoom, that I'm sure, you know, people have looked behind, and that had been something in contentions. How much do you show, right? You think of people differently. Your preconceived ideas and your judgment just takes just a different route, because that is regardless of your or anything appearance. So I think it is a good outcome of that, and it's just for yourself that image means, just because of that routine. And just to share, one of my teaching artists, she's been doing a different hairdo every day since it all started. And they are super funky and a lot of fun. She's a visual artist.
Nice.
And that's where she's putting her art on her own.
I think that's so important. I have, if for those of you that are friends of mine on Facebook, and if you're not, please friend me. I've invited everyone to join a group I have called What's for Dinner, and it is blowing up. People are doing it, I think, because we're all home now. And share what you had for dinner, share what you made. Like the other night, I shared leftovers. Like, you share whatever it is. I mean, some people are getting fancy, because I do have some chef friends and they're showing off, but it's fun to see it. But it's kind of cool. Like David Grasso, Councilmember Grasso's on, and it turns out he is like an amazing cook. Like, oh my God. So it's nice for us to share other parts of our life. Like maybe we should even come to these meetings with some themes, like if people are willing. And you don't have to, because I know I want to be respectful of people's boundaries and space. But if we feel we want to do that, we could show up with like an object from our home that's really important to us. And it doesn't have to be anything big and fancy. It could just be something that we can share with each other, just to show another facet of who we are. I heard from a friend of mine at the Pittsburgh Glass Center that there's a glass collectors group that historically had invited people to their homes to show them the glass they collect and talk about that. And it's a fun way to build community and a group of supporters. And then they'll often have an artist that's in their collection there and talking. And they're trying to figure out how to do some of that virtually. You know, so things like that will start to bubble up, and we should think about that. I think maybe there could even be this goes back to work stuff too, but there could even be a showcase for teaching artists. Like we could make our members fair a virtual thing. I don't know, just a thought. There's so many different things we could start to think about doing differently, but I like the idea of bringing it back to home, bringing it back to ourselves, because I think we all are now sharing a different side of each other, because we're so vulnerable. All of us are vulnerable right now, and that's okay. And we need each other for that too. We need emotional support in a different way from our peers, who many are already our friends, but now all of them are our friends, right? I mean, it's a different time. It's a really loving time. Yeah, I like the idea of incorporating more personal stuff into what we do. I think that helps. So we'll have to figure that out. Again, popcorn ideas, please. We need you to help drive this too, because that's the thing. We're here as the collaborative for you guys, but it would be great, Sylvia, if you led a Zoom chat one day too, like, or a section of the Zoom chat, or the same thing, Terry or Tom or Ashley, Heidi, any of you. We could take our Zoom chats, especially the ones that may not have thematic days, and we can share out the basic news that we know, sort of like current events, and then have one of you lead the rest of the conversation. I think that would be great. Tracy?
Make a sign up form for anyone who wants to sign up.
Yeah.
Email us.
Yeah, please. Remember, that's what collaborative is about. We don't want to be talking at you. You know, it's about us collaborating and sharing whatever it may be. I think that that's really how some really awesome ideas are going to bubble up for us as a community too. But we'll do all of the vehicles that make sense for people. Like, we'll come up with ways to make our speed dating events virtual, you know, what feels more like a traditional panel conversation. But also, I like the idea of members driving even these Zoom chats. You know, Tracy and I, we're happy. We will be here every day, and we are happy to lead it if it's needed. But we'd be even happier if you guys did it. Okay, Sylvia, thank you so much. I see. Yeah, I think today we might sign off early-ish unless anyone has anything they wanted to share or some questions or some more new ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah, hey, Tom.
I got a good idea from this meeting here. You mentioned about doing your projects in Spanish.
Yes.
And I have these educational comic books I'm developing about women in science. And so I should look into ways to do those, since a comic book has less words than a book.
Yeah.
I know a Spanish woman. I like to hang out in Mount Pleasant, Hispanic neighborhood. And so maybe what I should do is find out how much it would cost to have it translated and then put that in the grant proposal.
Absolutely.
Like doing now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. If anyone's working on grants moving forward, we should be thinking about access that way and having bilingual material.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great idea. I love that. Excellent idea. Terry, Kelsey, Ashley, Heidi, anyone else want to share anything before we skedaddle for the day? I'm good. No? Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Today, this felt good. This was a good conversation. I feel you've given me lots of warm fuzzies. I feel good. So thank you all. Selfishly, it's important for us to stay connected, and I love that we were talking about ourselves and seeing those beautiful bottles of wine that Sylvia's son produced for her family is so sweet. And how cool, Tracy, one was an oboist. That was neat. Yeah. You need a bottle of that. You need to make one for you.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, everyone. Well, take care, be well, and remember, if you want to join the commission call, it's at 3:30 today. The information is right here on the Zoom chat, and then we'll also be posting, Kelsey will be posting it on social media. And again, make sure to follow us. And everyone give Kelsey some love and jazz hands, because she's our social media goddess right now. She'll continue to get everything out there. So just be sure to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, and share what we're posting with your community. And Terry, be on the lookout. I'll put together a press release based on the announcement language I did for the portal, and I'll send that out to the board, asking for you all to share it with your contacts as well. But if you have other ideas for media outlets, even if I already have them, just send them all to me, because there's a good chance I may not have them. You know, because remember, we just started to build that list. Well, I built the list 2 years ago, but it definitely needs a refresh for sure, because we don't send out media alerts usually. Okay, super. All right, well, thanks everyone. Have a great day. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.